May 2023 credit card welcome offers on today's Milenomics Squared podcast.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sam Simon.
And I'm Robert Dwyer.
And this is the Milenomics Squared podcast, no annual fee edition.
If you're not subscribed to the full Milenomics Squared podcast, you're missing out on a deeper dive into topics like the following. We're going to talk credit cards this month, and we haven't ever done this before. We're going to talk about the best credit card welcome bonuses available right now. I don't know if we're going to do a complete dive of the entire credit card landscape, but new offers, maybe some old offers, and some offers that haven't been available. But I think we both got lucky this month with Chase, and I'm thinking about 524 with the Sapphire products.
Yeah, on our Patreon show, we covered that, but we have not covered it here on the No Annual Fee show. And there were data points. Doctor of Credit had some reports and has from time to time had these reports saying that Chase is approving cards with applications for people who are over 524. And as someone who's over 524, and I believe you are as well, Robert, every time this news comes around, I want to say we go for it. And it never works out. But this time, it just worked, right?
Yeah, it worked for both of us. It's worked for others, but not everybody. So I don't know if we've got the whole puzzle quite figured out, but what do you think? What is the condition that people are getting approved under?
Well, we've seen really wild data points, Robert. We've seen people not get approved on a head-on application and get approved on a referral application. We've seen 724, 824 get approved. We've seen higher numbers of 524 status applications get denied, and so I think they're wiggling a little bit. I mentioned on the last time we talked that they have to admit people into these cards eventually. And if the metric is hard, 524, you're not getting our card, that's not a model for growth, at least not unlimited growth, because you're going to eventually run out of people who qualify under that specific thing. This is a great time to get credit cards, so I think that number of people is going down. I think that's the metric right now. What do you think?
Yeah, probably some people falling off from the previous push when the Sapphire Reserve came out. And, if they've gotten out of the Chase ecosystem, that was a one-time hit. That may be a time to bring someone like that back into the fold. I think my friends that went for the Sapphire Reserve when it was 100,000 point welcome bonus. Yeah, just something you just could explain in 5 seconds about why this is so valuable and why you should do it right now. Maybe it's a good time for those people to come back in the fold because they still have that 48-month churning restriction in place across all Sapphire products, or both Sapphire products, I should say. So you need to watch out for that, and you need to make sure that you don't still have one right now. So maybe there's some stunts you could play where if you kept a Sapphire Preferred around or even a Reserve, downgrade that to a Freedom and then apply in, a week later, a month later, see if then you can get another Sapphire welcome bonus. Because these welcome bonuses are pretty generous, right? 80,000 points, that's a solid offer for a $95 annual fee card.
It is. And, maybe you could do a referral swap where someone refers you and then you refer back or something like that. I think that there's value in the Reserve as a secondary card. And in fact, I was approved for the Preferred first. And then I said, well, I've got nothing to lose. The very next day I applied for the Reserve and was approved for that as well. So just a really fantastic combination of cards for me when I thought I'd be locked out. And even just a month ago, there were reports that the Chase Inc. cards were not being subject to 524, and I applied, and no, I was not approved for that. So this is a relatively new development for myself and for, I'm sure, many listeners. It's worth a shot. What's the cost here, Robert, if you're denied? A hard pull, right? That's it. Yeah.
I've never heard of anything adverse like, you've upset the hornet nest with Chase, and then they go scrutinizing everything that you're doing there. So I think it's a relatively low risk way to do it. And I don't think anybody's getting denied for other credit cards because of too many hard pulls. So nice move there with I guess they call it the modified double dip. I didn't quite have that much success. I was able to combine a referral with an approval, and I'll take that as a win. That's a pretty nice thing. Like I said on the paid show, every time I get approved for another Chase card, I feel like it's going to be the last one ever. But I would like to see them become a little bit more lenient, a little bit more reasonable. I don't, where'd that number 5 come from? Let's negotiate on it a little bit. Maybe 10's okay within the last 2 years.
I like that. Everything's negotiable. I love it, Robert. I really do. Let's jump through some of these Chase offers here and go over the cards that we think are at really nice levels right now. The first one is that Chase Sapphire Preferred, 80,000 points with a $4,000 minimum spend. This has a $95 annual fee, not waived the first year. You can generate your own referral link, and we have a link here in the show notes to do that. And I don't have it here. We haven't even put the Chase Sapphire Reserve link here because the preferred offer is so much stronger. You absolutely have to start with that, right?
Yeah, that is a little weird. Hard to motivate to get, because what does the reserve really give you over the preferred at this point? I mean, other than I would take a Sapphire Reserve for 70,000 if you gave it to me, but why have to make it 100,000? Just seems like a higher annual fee card should be a more generous welcome bonus.
Yeah, but it's lower. It's 60,000 on the reserve, which is like head scratching.
Not even 70? Oh man.
No, there are some reports that you can find a 70,000 link clanging around. I do think it has better pay yourself back. So there is that angle, and in fact, having a preferred that you could upgrade at some point to a reserve to cash out is an option. But it's a weird one, Robert. The preferred was such a premium card, and then this reserve came out with great fanfare and a huge sign-up bonus, and it's kind of like withering on the vine, the reserve, you know?
Yeah. It's not like they could make like the platinum cards from Amex and make them very complicated to try to extract value out of them. But there really isn't a lot to it, right? You get that $300 annual travel credit, which isn't too hard to redeem. So the annual fee really isn't that bad. But I think they could bump it up to make it more business platinum-like, more platinum-like, more in the neighborhood of 100,000 or, even 150,000 like you see Amex doing. We'll see. I mean, they're definitely the two big players in the credit card space, Amex and Chase. But good to see some movement here from Chase. And we'll talk later maybe about Amex and just the kind of the enduring value here. I think it still is the best bank out there, but Chase, I think, a close number 2.
I agree. You want to take this next one from Chase here, the Ink?
Yes, I was having some experience with this, referring family and friends for it actually, and it's the Ink cards are around 90,000. Well, around 75,000. So again, you can combine a referral for that, which is really generous on these business cards, 40,000. And I just actually saw that post this morning.
Wow.
That's even more generous than Amex referral offers. For the most part, they have some interesting things going on with categorical bonuses depending on spend from the card you referred from. But yeah, 40,000 for referring and 75,000, I think, pretty much across the board for all types of Ink cards, unlimited cash, the 5X card at office supply stores people like. But I think the offer was coming in at 75, and you could match to 90,000 because there is a semi-public offer out there. And Chase, historically, better about matching than Amex. Amex will pretty much uniformly tell you to pound sand. Amex very knowingly puts different offers out there all over the place. Not A/B testing, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G testing. I mean, they put offers all over the place with the same card. And if you tell them, hey, I saw this link that was better, they'd say, oh, that's cute. Have a nice day. But, with Amex, you can get the card another way, another time. So with Chase, they're very reasonable. You secure message them and say, hey, a friend said, or I saw this, or here's a link. In most cases, they will match you with that. That's a nice attribute about Chase. So I like this offer. If you have somebody who's under 524, who has a business, is comfortable applying for business cards, I think the Ink cards are fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic earner on that card too. We've still got 5X on categories on that card, and pairing it, the last show we did here on the no annual fee edition of this podcast, we talked about the co-branded paradox. This Ink card at its high level of earning could be the best card to earn ultimate rewards for, and then transfer those into Hyatt or United or British Airways or Southwest points. It could be the best card for that situation, and it doesn't have any of those logos on it at all.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about this next one, Aeroplan. That's a new one to us and not something I've dabbled with at all. A strange situation with Aeroplan. Kind of this Canadian airline used to be an independent frequent flyer program. Now Air Canada linked with them. Good for a lot of partners. Amex points transfer 1-to-1 here to Aeroplan. So I don't think we think about going after a Chase card for that purpose, because we can kind of generate a lot of Aeroplan miles from Amex. But if you're under 524 and you really want to go after some Aeroplan miles, here's an opportunity. But there's some pay yourself back kind of aspect to this. I got some people in trouble, and I feel for them, but I didn't even come close to getting in trouble because this card wasn't even on the radar screen with me being well over 524.
Yeah, same here. I don't see myself using this card.
Yeah, well, we'll just stick with the Amex plan for getting Aeroplan miles up. I think it's a good program for that.
It's a good program. Let's just pause on that for a second. Aeroplan, I don't want to like skip over that, Robert. Aeroplan's a great program for booking Star Alliance premium foreign carriers, right?
Yeah. Another unique, was it Etihad they're partnered with as well? I mean, there's some, they're kind of Alaska-esque in terms of the other partnerships that they've developed even outside of Star Alliance.
I like them for Swiss. I mean, everyone has their like sweet spot with this program, and if you're in the program because of membership rewards and you're looking at a Chase card, I mean maybe, but it's a tough one for me because so many membership rewards, like you said. Yeah, I do appreciate though that we're talking about airlines that, aren't the big 5 or 6 that we covered here on this last show we did here. We're talking about Aeroplan, and here we've got another one here, Air France, KLM, the MasterCard here with a 70,000 mile sign-up bonus for $2,000 in spend. This one also has a $95 annual fee that's not waived, and a little more details here in the show notes on the card itself. One of the great parts about this is it's from Bank of America. So we're not looking at a 524 situation, and we're going to transition away from talking about Chase cards, I think, entirely here at this point. What's your opinion of Air France Flying Blue Mile and this card itself, Robert?
Interesting one. Yeah, because you think of Bank of America, and they've got the Alaska cards, which are strong there. And then we've talked about the Elite card on the Fade Show. That's been an interesting new offering.
That's a great card, yeah.
And they've got the tie-in with if you keep 100,000 with them, that you get more earning on some of your cards. I don't think this one would qualify. It's more their straight cashback cards. This is where we're talking about it would be nice if they really made a push to have a commingled program, kind of like a flexible transfer partner. But, I mean, Air France, I took an Air France flight not too long ago, about a year ago, and it was fantastic. Their lounge was great. Their plane was new, straight from Boston to Charles de Gaulle. It's a very nice airline, and you can find some availability there for around 70,000 per person, one-way business class over to Europe. So, and then they've got their promos and reduced fare things. So there's a lot of different interesting angles with them, but maybe not the first one that you think about. And again, if you can transfer so many bank points over here. Is it worth doing something, special for your, Bank of America has unique churning restrictions as well. And they seem to be ever changing, maybe more permissive than Chase, but still, the sky isn't the limit over there anymore on the number of cards that you get approved for. So I think it's a matter of trying to decide whether you really want to start generating some additional miles at Air France KLM to absolve you of transferring flexible bank points over from any number of bank points.
Yeah, I want to dig in on that a little more because you really need to know what you're doing with the program. This is not something where it's like, oh, just go. The first two cards of the show here are, look, even if you don't know anything about Chase Ultimate Rewards, you'll figure it out as you go along, and there's almost no potential downside. That's not true here. If you don't know the program and you don't have a great redemption in mind, you could apply for this card, pay the annual fee, do the minimum spend, orphan the miles. I think they expire as well. Not a great program to get into if you don't know what you're doing, but that doesn't mean it's not useful if you do.
That's a good point. Yeah, with Ultimate Rewards, you always have that very easy cash out option. And as we go further down the list, you're going to get more and more obscure, I think. So yeah. I'll take the next one. I don't know if anyone's going to be claimed to be an expert on this one. Wells Fargo with the Choice Hotels card. Wow. Okay. This is a deep cut. So I thought it was interesting to call this one out because you see banks out there competing for co-branded business. And Choice Hotels is definitely not a straightforward program, not one of the top 3, not one of the top 5, maybe not one of the top 10 programs you want to look at. But it's interesting that Wells Fargo took this business away from Barclays. And I like to see that kind of competition out there for co-branded cards. I don't like Barclays so much. Wells Fargo, I don't know if I like them, but it's nice to see. You got to go load up the Wells Fargo credit card page sometimes. You see all kinds of crazy partnerships out there. Built. You got Choice. You're like what's the common thing these have in common? It's like a wayward home for strange programs at this point. But good to see. I think Wells Fargo said a couple of years ago they want to make more of a push. For co-branding credit cards, and I guess this is an example of it. Maybe not the marquee partner they were looking for, but good to see them. Good to see banks competing. I think. I don't think I'll be going for this card. There's some strange paradox with Citi points transferring 1 to 2 to Choice and still having a hard time finding value in that program. But I like to call it here because of the co-branded thing moving around between Barclays and Wells Fargo in particular.
It's novel, and for someone who really does have a need, I think it's important for us to mention cards that are a little bit less discussed out there. And I think, we're way in the weeds, Robert. Should we just cover this last one here?
That's about as crazy as it gets. Bring it on.
All right. It's an all-time high from my records, Robert, for the Citi ShopYourWay Mastercard. That's $75 worth of points. Actually, I don't know if it's points or if it's straight cash back, but I don't think it really matters. It's $75 per $500 spent, up to a total sign-up bonus on this card of $225. That would be $1,500 in spend if my math is right. Robert, this card is a sleeper. It really is. No annual fee. It's a Citi card, but it works on like a completely different Citi webpage. It's not going to show up in your Citi login. And it earns ShopYourWay points, which there are probably people listening to this show who they don't even know where Shop Your Way points came from. Came from a retailer that was called Sears or Kmart, apparently, and no longer, I think, exists anywhere in physical locations near anyone listening to this show. So that's about as obscure as the points get. But it earns 5x on gas, 3x on grocery, up to $10,000 a year. So that's a $500 earner a year if you could get that spend done on gas. And this used to have a thank you point earning version, but this is the Shop Your Way earning version. And so you're stuck with points that are Shop Your Way points. And Robert, I know you're thinking, what good is a Shop Your Way point, right?
That is what I'm thinking. What even is a Shop Your Way point? How would you even possibly spend it? But that's not the point of the card, I guess.
Well, it is, but it isn't. I mean, the points are actually really easy to spend. They have a partnership with Raise, and Frequent Miler's done an extensive write-up on how that works. But you can cash those points out for any number of gift cards, including Amazon, Walmart, some really high-end gift cards that are hard to get at a decent discount. So we could call this, you could maybe capture 95-ish% if you value those cards near 100%, near 1-to-1. But those points are just coming in all the time. I mean, the card kicks off all these weird promotions, and it's just an amazing little earner. And so I want to mention it here. Our plucky little card of the week, Robert, at the end here. The Shop Your Way card. No love anywhere,
When you said Raise, I thought you were talking about like RAYS, like a little grocery store in Southern California or something like that. Raise, like the gift card exchange. I get it now. So you can cash out the points for gift cards, but you can also get cash back in some cases based on targeted promotions. So a little bit of a lottery element, but wow. I mean, you think about a co-branded credit card. You have a co-branded credit card with a defunct rewards program, essentially, right? It's just amazing that anybody would be paying attention to this card, let alone sprinkling it with lucrative targeted spending bonuses. But here we are.
Yeah, no, I've had spending bonuses on it where I'm like, everyone's throwing down their card for dinner, and it's like, Amex Gold and Chase Sapphire Reserved, and boom, Citi Shop Your Way Mastercard. Thank you very much, and I'm earning more than anyone else at the table for some reason. But the card is it's in my wallet. They're gonna pry it from my cold dead hands, Robert. I mean, it's never gonna be out of my wallet. It's just,
and I'll never get it because if I get it, it'll ruin it for everybody. So
it totally will.
I'll continue to sit back and admire you Swift people. I'll let you pick up the bill for dinner.
There you go, Robert. Well, any parting words? Any like postscripts here? Maybe not a specific card, but general advice to end the show.
Yeah, just call out for Amex. I mean, you could earn more from Amex in the next year than all of these offers combined, Chase plus all these other ones, and you'd be better off. So it's not a news item that you can refer for Amex cards, that you can get Amex cards that you've had before, that you can refer your spouse for Amex cards. You can get retention offers. You can get all kinds of lucrative, great stuff with Amex. So nothing specific to talk about this week. It's kind of like the whole store is on sale over there at Amex all the time. So don't forget about Amex.
That's a great reminder. And I think we can end it right there, right, Robert?
Yeah, let's do it. Thanks for joining us this week. For a more in-depth discussion about points and miles, visit us at patreon.com/milenomics. There you get a special link to listen to additional content right in your mobile podcast app or on your computer, where we speak more freely about topics like these.
And as always, you can reach us on Twitter. I'm at Milenomics, and Robert is at Robert Dwyer. We'd love to hear from you. Till then, we'll see you on the site.